All right, welcome back to the Scaling Edge channel. Today, I'm basically going to teach you how I would implement AI for a local estate agency business. Now, the reason being is we had a state agency approach us and they wanted help with their marketing. All right. And it was a family run business, small. Dad passed it down to the kids and they've done things old school traditionally. Like the dad's obviously really built it up to a great level, the old school way, right? Hustle and muscle, very little system and no automations. And now his children obviously want to have a more automated business, a more lean business, a more future proof business. And that's why they came to us. They wanted to do the marketing, but before that they had to organize a few things. So if you're a local estate agency business, you're in luck today because I'm going to go through how I would basically market but also incorporate AI. All right, let's get into it. So first things first, if you're new to this, I like to break things into 3 sections, right? The foundation, which is like what we do to get started. You know, if you're building any house, you need to make sure the foundation is laid correctly. Then the 2 vehicles, and these are the 2 lead generation vehicles that we'll focus on. As I always say, it doesn't mean we're going to not do multiple different types of lead generation, but these are the 2 main ones that we're going to start with so that we're not overloaded. And then lastly, like, what's the plan for scale? What's the plan? You know, it could just be brief. What direction are we going to take as soon as we start getting the first 2 lead generation methods popping off, right? So let's get into it. For foundation in today's sort of video, I've got 2 different things. I've got social media as always, right? Social media is super important because you need an online presence and we don't use business cards anymore. And one thing about estate agencies is they're really stuck in the past. To be honest, the whole buying a house and dealing with houses in the UK, the whole way it's laid out and the system is very old school. And if you go to other countries like Dubai, it's a lot more faster and a lot, more modernized. So social media is very important. People aren't really trading business cards anymore, even though people, you do the whole typical, let's say you've got a shop, you've got some of your listings on the shop. People are so busy. People are so much on their phones. People are so busy and got to go places that they hardly even do that anymore, right? So social media is the place where you can put your listings down. You can really take over. But I put another word or acronym here, right? And it's called USP. And I want to make something clear, right? With certain businesses, but especially estate agencies, it's so easy to shut down your competition, right? Because people are so old school in that market, in that industry, okay? The way they market, the way they do things is so old school. They're only now just really recording. You've got a few people on YouTube who will record like these properties, and it's usually only for like the luxury properties and so on and so forth, right? Very old school how it's done. Everything is like carbon copy of each other. You can go down a street, like I'm based in Essex right now, and you can go down a street in Essex and there's like 10 estate agencies on one street. Right, literally. And I'm sure there's a lot like that in certain places in London and so on and so forth. But like 10 estate agencies in one street and there's no difference. They're all doing the same thing. They're all marketing the same way. Maybe one's Hart, who's a bit more known, or another one's Ward or whatever, but then the others are a bit smaller. But the only reason that Hart or Ward are even bigger or performing better is because they've been around longer and they've obviously just made more money and scaled up bigger and faster. So I think it'll be quite easy to come up with a USP, a unique selling point for an estate agency, and essentially just plaster that all over your social media, and that becomes your edge, right? That becomes like how you're gonna win and take over. And I say that to say that I remember there's a case study of years back, right? And it was a kid, I think he was even in school, and he come up with an idea where he said, we'll sell your property for £1, right? Literally said, we'll sell your property for £1. And he was on a Good Morning Britain in no time. Like he literally, and I can't remember how much they was doing, they was producing a lot of revenue. And essentially, like, although I didn't dive into the business model at the time, it was very easy to see how he was able to make that profitable, because the USP was selling the property for £1. Of course, people are getting charged 1% or to however, and they're getting, or one, maybe even sometimes to 3%, they're spending thousands of pounds on selling their homes. And then this kid comes up saying he'll sell it for £1. They're going to flock to you, right? And then at the end of the the day, if there's add-ons, if there's other things, you're already in their good books. You're already doing business with them. So if you want to sell them on and do certain things and blah, 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 and, you know, sell them other products, maybe they're listed on the property. Maybe it's a stipulation. Maybe it's only £1 for the first property. You know, things like that are going to bring you more customers and they're going to shut down your competition. And you don't need to even lowball yourself that much to say you're selling it for £1. But as I said, USP, for example, you could highlight the fact that your team has a strong culture of doing things fast, quick and fast. All right. Like if you could even name your estate agency that, right? Or that could be your slogan, that you do things quicker than everybody else. Right. And maybe you optimize your business for that. You use a lot of AI, which we'll talk about in a second. You use, maybe take on fewer deals or whatever it may be, but you do things fast, right? You could even charge more like than everyone else, higher percentage, but say that we charge more because we get things done faster, right? That is going to stand out from the rest because people like estate agencies, like there's other type of industries that are like this. They're not too loyal. They're not too precious about who they're working with. They want the house. That's all it is. They want the house. They want to sell the house. They want a property. They want to rent a property. This is a thing that they need to do and they have to go through you or someone alike to you, right? And the only real choice that most people make and the only bias they have is who they got recommended to, right? Maybe they got recommended by a cousin, a family member who's bought a house, sold a property, whatever it may be. And they just think, okay, I'll just try you guys. All right. No one else is really standing out as we do this differently. We do this differently because in that industry, it's very much a case of let's just all do the same thing, right? If it's not broke, don't fix it, which sometimes works, but sometimes you need to stand out. So in the foundation, this is what we'll be thinking about, okay? In terms of what is the USB of the company, plaster that all over social media, and then now where the people to look at. All right. So now let's get into it. Without further ado, 2 vehicles. So 2 vehicles would be local ads. As I always say, if you're a local business, local ads makes too much sense. All right. Because you can literally target the radius of which you do business. Okay. So if you only do business in Worcester or Worcester, which I don't even know where it is, I can't remember, or Rugby or flipping Birmingham or Leeds, or even really a lot of times it's a smaller area. So let's say you might only do business. I can't remember no roads in London right now. So yeah, as I was saying, local ads are perfect for targeting your ideal demographic in your ideal location and allowing, just being assured that the ads that you're paying for are going to the right people. A lot of us, when we're running ads to the whole UK, the whole of a certain, big area. Yeah, we're still picking the demographic. It's still location based, but it's a lot more that you have to spend to hit a bigger area, right? The reason some people are still cautious of local ads and they maybe don't believe in them is because the ads are still rubbish. It doesn't matter if it's a local ad. It doesn't matter if you spend a lot of money on it. It doesn't even matter if it might make a difference if you have like a famous person on it, but you still have to have a good advert, all right? You still have to catch attention. And this is the first place where I'm going to mention AI. AI is perfect for making great ads. We're not even fully harnessing. We're not really running ads at the moment, which is kind of a separate video. AI and ads go hand in hand because there's a book called The Purple Elephant Strategy, something like that. Purple Elephant Strategy. I haven't read it, but I understand the concept. And it basically just stands for like standing out in your market or when you do run sort of any type of advertising, content and so on and so forth. If people see a purple elephant in the middle of 20 different regular colored elephants, that one's going to stand out. And it's the whole thing about the USP and everything like that. But it works especially in ad, video and content. So if you have something unique, something interesting, something weird, something funny, something that makes people stop scrolling, that is gonna give your ad a better chance of getting views and getting whatever. Because even if you're targeting the right people in the right location, you have to understand you're still competing with people's feeds, right? They're on their phone, they're scrolling, and then your thing just pops up, says sponsored. If it's, boring, then they're gonna just scroll past. They're gonna, like, majority of people are just gonna keep clicking and keep scrolling, right? If you can get them to stop, then you're winning, you're grinning, you're really, you've got a leg up, right? So local ads, they need to be good ads. You can use AI for that. You can actually create an AI video where there's an elephant in the middle of the road. You can have an AI picture of you where you've kind of like cloned yourself and you're doing something interesting. You can put something in that local area that's maybe well known. If it's London, maybe it's on Tower Bridge, maybe you're there, or your brand is there, or your product is there, or whatever it may be. If you're an estate agency, you could do like a video of something to do with a house, something being sold, something funny. And yes, you like even using ChatGPT, if you've got a paid version, they have access to something called Sora, which allows you to create videos. So you can get creative, you know, you can get really creative and make ads with using AI. And with ads, when you're running ads and stuff like that, you're not just going to make one ad, you'd make multiple ads. And if the ad that with the AI tends to be working, you just pour more money into that. It's not always going to be the best ad. You're going to switch it sometimes. And it's all about testing. You know, some of the best people running ads are testing about 10 to 12 different images, videos, right, at one time. So it really helps. And even after those 10 to 12, you may want to make some more, add some more into the mix. AI, right? ChatGPT, it's just got the image generator. Okay. So that's local ads. The next thing is content. Okay. That's the second vehicle. And you might think that, Michael, that's not really a lead generation tool, right? And I typically wouldn't use it as a lead generation tool. It's usually around the foundation, social media, have your USP, produce loads of content. There you go. But I actually do think that you could use content as a lead generation tool with a estate agency. Okay. What happens in business and marketing is a lot of people don't realize how much value and information they have to share. And because of that, they think that everything's just common knowledge and it's just already known, that they'd only really post typical stuff. They post like, oh, I got a listing, I got this, that, and a third, right? This is this listing, it's going for 300,000. You know, make an offer today, DM me. That's how 9 times out of 10 estate agents are, right? Or if they do content which is value based, you know, they'll just do it every so often. They might say 1, 2 things, so on and so forth, right? There is a guy called Josh the Accountant. I want everyone to go look at him as a case study. Josh the Accountant. He's an accountant. He makes a shitload of content. He drops super consistently, and it's nothing but value information, right? Because of that, he's rose. He's got tens of thousands of followers. Maybe he's run ads as well. Who knows? He's got tens of thousands of followers, and he's got a big following, active people that are subscribed to what he's doing. Business is growing because of that. All right. And it's because he's not naive to the fact that there's so much information and value he has to share. So he understands how much value he has. And because of that, he's overloading people with content. He's become the go-to guy for value. So, you know what? There are a few things like even as I'm talking, I'm thinking, you know, I actually have some things that I need to know about taxing, accounting, even more so. And I might just flick through his videos because I know him to be the go-to guy. And what a lot of people don't realize, especially in industries and business models like estate agencies, is that those boring traditional businesses are actually the best businesses to be making content for. The typical stuff that you see people making content for, like the fitness trainers or the online business and online marketing, this stuff has been so rinsed out, right, that there are so many people that are the go-tos that it becomes hard to actually be the go-to person because so many people are making content for it consistently. But when it comes to the estate agencies, accountancies, recruitment, whatever it may be, these traditional types of businesses, most of your competition is stuck in the old school, right? So there's so much room for you to be the person who's on social media educating people because everybody is there. So with estate agency, there's so many things you can be educating people on: how long this contract should take, what documents you should have ready, how you can get over certain things, how you can make things speedy, what this new government thing means to whatever, right? And if you literally overload with that type of content, find a USP within the content. Also find a style of content that just works and you've seen it work for other people, right? And adopt that and go hard on it. I think that's definitely going to give you the edge. Your content is going to gain traction and you're going to go far. And listen, you know, a lot of people doing content who don't understand it or struggle with content are startups or small startups or people who are just doing it with a lean team, maybe just themselves. I've been there a million times, right? It's been that way for majority of me doing content. But what you don't realize sometimes is if you're a business you're already established, you have the means to make content more of an official thing, more of a regimented thing. And this is how people like Alex Hormozi, Gary Vee, and so many other people, Mark Tilbury, all of these like entrepreneurs, that content is a real thing for them. They definitely have a budget towards content and it's probably a healthy budget, right? I know Alex Hormozi is probably spending over £1 million a year on content, right? Because it's just a system. They make the money. They know they're going to make loads of money back from it. It's going to be positive ROI, hugely positive ROI. So they have a huge dedicated budget towards content. Yours doesn't have to be huge, but if you do it intentionally, you can smash it. This is another place where AI will come in, right? Even at just the most basic level, you could use apps like Descript or CapCut with the AI plugin to edit your content. So instead of you just editing content the old way, just chop, cut, long, boring. You can use stuff like Descript, as I said, or CapCut AI that literally will remove the filler words for you. It will clean up the audio for you, and it literally just like makes editing a breeze. Like, it makes editing a breeze because it's using AI. There are tools I'll list on this page right now that will actually just edit your content for you at this stage. You can also make long form content. So for a lot of companies, what you might want to do, if you don't have that person who's just a natural on the camera, or you're not there yet to just be talking to the camera and captivate them and use their style, what you could do is have like a company podcast. And you might think this is crazy, but guess who has one of the biggest podcasts? And for those of you who are thinking, Michael, you're getting out of hand now, this is a business, you're telling me to make a podcast. Well, guess what? HubSpot last quarter, they brought in £703 million or dollars, right? That's almost $1 billion in revenue last quarter. They also have a podcast, right? And their podcast, I think, got nominated for a Webby or something like that. And this is how I learned about this. So don't ever think that the two don't mix, okay? Like, podcast can be a number one, like an A1 resource for bringing in more business. Like, they literally, the value of even podcasts as an industry is probably in the billions. So essentially, you can make a podcast where you're talking about housing and stuff like that, and then you can use a lot of these AI softwares like CapCut or Opus Clips to chop down the podcast into multiple clips, right? So all these short form clips that you can now put across social media, TikTok, so on and so forth. You may even find that boosting one of those videos does really well for you, and so on and so forth. What this does for a estate agency is just brings you top of mind, right? Literally, as we said, it just makes you top of mind because there's a lot of competition. There's probably 10 people on your very street who are trying to get the same customers as you. We just need you to stand out, right? And that's why we built the foundation as we did, and we're going to do different things to what others are doing, all right? You're still going to do the cold, like other things probably. I mean, would I even still do other things? I probably wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't, you know. The only other thing I would do as a vehicle would be like your word of mouth game. You still want your word of mouth game to be good, your referral. I would probably build something that, you know, a really good referral scheme, but a seamless one, simple one, probably like paid as well. Like, if you refer someone, you get something, you get money, you get, you know, literally probably money, right? So there you go. Next is scale. So scale portion is basically what we do after that, and what's the kind of journey, what sort of angle will I take to scale this business up. All right, I would probably be looking at less employees. Now, this sounds crazy, but it makes a lot of sense. Less employees, less headache, less revenue going out the door, more profit, okay? We're not just trying to build an AI world here. If you're wards and you have multiple locations across the world or across the nation, then of course, like, you're not trying to skimp out on employees, right? And I think that we should make a point of keeping AI ethical, because we're not just trying to replace all jobs. However, if you're running a local agency, you're just starting up an agency, you want to scale, you want to do big things, you want to grow your revenue, you want to help people, but you need to keep it lean. Less employees make sense. And when you have AI automations in place, you're living a dream, okay? You don't need as much employees, because a lot of it is just red tape and reading through things and sending things over. All this stuff can be automated. You can get AI incorporated into your CRM. There's probably AI incorporated CRMs for estate agencies now. If not, there will be one within a year. And you can also just build a workflow around it. That's probably something we're going to be doing for this estate agency that we're working with, building some AI automations that basically do most of the stuff for them, right? So looking forward to that. But one of the biggest things that an estate agency can really benefit from is an AI receptionist, right? So a estate agency can benefit from an AI receptionist, and this is someone just managing the phones. Like, when a call comes in from somebody, inquiry, there's always someone there to pick it up, answer, take the details and put them in the system, right? Give them some answers back, you know, makes inquiry, whatever. Someone to call out to people, someone that can check up on people and certain things, you know, maybe you got certain dates due, and when this date happens, you need to check on this. An AI receptionist can do all of this stuff, right? So you can generally automate a lot of the business, and mainly just you focus on doing the visits and all that sort of things, and someone just managing the AI and managing it. Now, essentially, you might turn at this point a 10-man team into like a 3-man team, or 20-person team into a 5-10 people team. So that's what I'd look into in more detail. And what I'll do as a promise is, as we start working with them and we build it out their system more, I will come back and I'll make another video for estate agencies. If this video gets any traction, if I can get more than 10 comments saying that you would like a part 2 of this video, then I will definitely do that. Because we'll have a lot more knowledge firsthand and exact systems within a month or so. So hopefully that video has been beneficial to you. Hopefully you've got a lot of value from it. If you have questions, if you have other videos or business models that you want us to kind of do this for, AI, paid ads, personal brand content, systems and automations, we're here for it to show the love. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, and I'll be back with you soon. Peace.